बोले सोने हाल सासरी अकाल
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to Akaal channel, Sky 770. I hope everyone's doing okay. I hope everyone's feeling well. Today we have a very important guest with us today, and it's quite interesting. This person is a philosopher. This person is a medical professional. This person is a doctor. This person is actually an author for a book as well. Now, you may be thinking I've got a studio full of people. You may be thinking that this is not going to be one person. Actually, all these qualities reside in one single person. So today we have a very, very important guest with us, Dr. Jagjit Singh Sangera, who is going to launch their new book, The Brain, the Mind and the Arrow of Time. So here with us in the studio, Dr. Jagjit Singh Sangera. ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਫਤਿਹ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਈਏ ਜੀ, ਫਿਰ ਇਸ ਕਾਫਲੇ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਾਈਏ. Dr. Sahab, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Dr. Sahab, I hope you're feeling okay today. Thank you for coming into the studio, to talk about this book, this concept that you've written about. Starting off, obviously, your background. Where were you born? What was your journey up till now?
Thank you. Well, first, Sasikat, I'd like to thank you and the Akaal channel and also you, the Sangat, for giving me this opportunity to discuss my thinking, my soch.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And it's really, I'm a general practitioner in Birmingham.
Right.
I started my medical profession 50 years ago at the University of Birmingham.
Right.
And after 3 years, I opened my own practice 41 years ago, which is now one of the largest practices in the area.
Yeah.
So I was actually born in Belgaum, Punjab.
Right.
My both parents Punjabi. My father came over here in 1954.
Right.
In his early 30s. And then my mother and my sisters and I joined him in 1959.
Right. Okay.
So all my education is actually done in UK.
Right.
Actually, that's not quite right. I did go to a reception class in Belgium.
Right. Yeah.
At the age of 5. Unfortunately, I did fail that. But here I am.
Yeah. So when it comes to this this concept of the book, to start off with, what was really the purpose of writing the book? Because there are many books, there are many ideologies that follow different types of books. If I talk personally, I enjoy reading books about Sikh history, I enjoy reading books about Sikh philosophy, and generally different types of writing. So what is the purpose behind this book?
Okay. The purpose behind it, as I said, being in practice for 41 years, one condition that bugged me was relationships, marriages, families, breakup.
Right.
Very traumatic in any culture, any background. Whether you get married in a Gurdwara, mandir, church, synagogue, wherever, now you can get married anywhere. And you love somebody, you're caring and so on. And then down the line, 5-10 years down the line, when the breakup happens, it's very, very traumatic. And not only traumatic, it leads to a lot of mental conditions.
Right.
Affects everybody in the community, in the family, and children as well.
Yeah.
So that's where really I wanted to find out why does it happen?
Why does that trauma come in the first place?
Why does where you love somebody, you grow up together, brothers and sisters, families grow up together, communities grow up, and then suddenly when it breaks down, it's both traumatic. It's very, very hard for everybody involved. And how then can I, if I don't know why it happens, how can I treat these conditions? That's really the angle, and it's happening in all cultures, all background, but more so in Asian cultures.
Right. Yeah.
And more so where you're actually interlinked, cousin marriages.
Oh, I see.
So that's where my thought came. But is it to do with genetics? Is it genes or whatever? You know, that's the angle that I thought. So I then said, how do I go round about it? And my thought was that basically the computer, the period we're looking at is 5,000 years.
5,000 years.
Yeah,
Right.
from the pharaohs to today.
To today.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Now, why 5,000 years is because evolutionary changes that can't happen much in 5,000 years. And generation-wise, if you take 35 years as one generation,
Yeah.
right? So in 100 is just 3 generations. So Guru Nanak was 15 generations ago.
Yeah.
Muhammad was 40 generations ago. Jesus was 60 generations ago,
60
right?
generations ago.
So
yeah.
60 generations, and what I'm looking at is about 140 generations when the pyramids were built.
Right. Yeah.
So that's yeah.
Well, so why do you think it's important then to class that as? Because I mean, way of life has changed since then. If you think about the ancient pharaohs, the way they used to live, their concepts of medicine, their concepts of religion, their concepts of ideology, that was quite different compared to how we live now. So why was it important then for you to go back that far?
Right. Reason being, genetics has made a lot of progress. Okay.
Yeah.
The DNA was only discovered in 1953 by Watson and Crick.
Yeah.
The double helix.
Double helix strand, yeah.
And the Human Genome Program, that is only in the last 15 years, 20 years.
Oh, right.
Human Genome Program, right?
Yeah.
And so we're learning a lot every day about the brain.
Yeah.
So what I've done is basically that I've compared that all of you who are watching, this is an iPhone, but actually it's a computer. And all computers have 2 things in common.
Yeah.
Right? One, hardware. Its hardware is that how you can break it up. Once you have your computer, then you put the software in.
Yeah.
So my theory is, my observation, my study is that the hardware of the brain, the Egyptian brain, iPhone, is exactly the same as today.
So the
hardware hasn't changed.
Hasn't changed.
That's the core of my angle.
Right.
Hasn't changed. It cannot change. It takes millions of years to change.
To change that hardware.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so. Therefore, 99.9% our genetic makeup
Yeah.
of all mankind on Earth today
Yeah.
is the same.
Is the same. Yeah.
You think that's crazy. But
Well, it's quite interesting because when you look at theories such as like Charles Darwin's theory of evolution
200 years ago.
200 years ago, and it's quite interesting how you look into that, and that theory states that evolution happens over a course of time when changes occur, right? And when there's like a change in stimulus almost. So why do you think then it's quite interesting, because why do you think then that no change has occurred in the human mind?
Mutation is the big thing.
Yeah.
Mutation changes. That's happening, like the viruses.
Yeah.
Mutation happening. That's where we are. But my point about people talk about race. Ethnicity is something different. Ethnicity is about culture.
Yeah.
A race. Some people say there's 3 races, 4 races. To me, if we are sharing 99.9% of our genetic material
Yeah.
from then today, then there can't be no race.
Then there can't be
It's
no race.
subjective. Now, to explain that on Sanskrit Kariye, if you look at the color,
Yeah.
genes. So you have 5 genes from, you get the hardware from mother and father,
Yeah.
the egg and the sperm. That moment, only the hardware gets transferred.
Yeah.
Very little software gets transferred. Okay? So the color scheme is basically that when from that one cell, it depends which, say you got 5 genes color.
Yeah.
Right? It depends which gene is dominant. Will depend on the color.
Which one's recessive? Yeah.
Yes, and that applies to all the shapes, height, hair, nose. That's the hardware of a person, and that's all mother and father transfers through that moment of creation.
Right. So when you talk about the software then,
Yes.
because the software is obviously where your research lies, this concept of how your software has changed over time. Does that include ideology? Does that include the way of thinking? Is that the way you act? Or, you know, what do you mean by the software?
Software or social DNA.
Yeah.
That is, as I said to you, you are born blank, so the software goes in afterwards.
Yeah.
Now, back to the five senses.
Yeah.
They're very important. Your hearing, your seeing, your smelling, your taste and tongue. That's how the software goes into your brain.
Right.
So, you know, your hearing actually starts already while you're in mother's womb at about 22 weeks.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know. So hearing already, so software is already going into the baby before the baby's born. All right?
Right.
So that is, I call, so all that, whatever you're talking about, politics, religion, whatever, that gets programmed afterwards. You're not born with that. That's my thinking and so on.
That's your theory
Yeah.
of, yeah.
What we're looking at, as you said before, Charles Darwin, that's 200 years ago,
Yeah.
right? He was only a young man.
Yeah.
There's nothing about DNA then.
Yeah.
But he just looked at nature. Nature is very important. Bani ligaya, nature. You are part of nature.
Yeah.
And in fact, nature, all the answers are in nature. Nature is the book of mathematics. Now, what has happened over the last 5,000 years? Science and technology has moved.
Yeah.
I'm not arguing with that. But the basic fundamentality of the brain, the iPhone,
Yeah.
hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed.
That's-
Your basic functioning, your basic kind of hardware, that hasn't changed.
That hasn't changed over
Yeah.
5,000 years. That's my core point that I'm trying to put across in the book.
Right. So, moving on a bit forward. So you were talking about how genetics, genetics doesn't really change throughout your time, as in a sense that when your mother and your father create you, your physical and your what you would call your hardware hasn't changed, right? So do genetics then play a role in actually changing your software? Can that actually happen?
Well, so I'm really looking at the bell diagram.
Yeah.
You have a bell diagram. You have so I'm looking at the middle 99%, not the outliners. I'm not looking at the 0.00% either side.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the middle bunch.
The middle one,
right? No. So back to my theory about where the genes, what happens. Only about 10 years ago, so the Human Genome Program, that's our blueprint.
Yeah.
Okay? And it used to take several months to work at your Human Genome Program.
Yeah.
And £100,000. Now, you can ring up a company on Google,
Yeah.
23MI, and they'll send you a swab. Okay?
Yeah.
Send them £50, and within 2 weeks, you will have your Human Genome Program,
Yeah.
your coding system. It's there. Now, so why I call it the toxic or lethal environment.
Right.
Even when you're 9 months in your incubator period, right? The brain switches and so on. It all depends on the environment.
Right.
What mother drinks, drugs, environment, famines will affect the layout of the brain cells.
Yeah. So it's kind of like how in olden times, if we go back to like Purathan Sikh history,
Yeah.
it's like in the olden times we were told, and even now many like Sikh scholars will say the same thing, that make sure that when you have a child that you're reading Gurbani, you're giving them a positive environment to live in, so that when your child then grows up, they kind of have that positivity kind of instilled in them. So is that the kind of concept that you're talking about?
Yes, I'm talking basically, if you look at all our faiths and beliefs religiously, they all have basically 5 things in common. It is about humanity, right?
Yeah.
Equal rights,
Yeah.
seva, protect the people,
Yeah.
right? Who are less fortunate than you and me,
Yeah.
okay? And then nature. You are part of nature,
Yeah.
okay? If you destroy nature, then you destroy yourself.
Yeah.
So that is all in the Bani. I mean, the 5 things, 5 elements: water, hawa, fire, earth, and some. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that is really quite an interesting take, really, because I think what's usually not discussed is that kind of concept of your hardware stays the same. It's what you change through, certain values, certain. Well, for example, one of your chapters was talking about politics, ideology, and hate. So where do you think that plays a role? What does that exactly mean in that context?
Again, that is software, isn't it? If you think about it, you're not born communism or dictatorship or labor or whatever. That is programmed into you.
It's programmed into you.
I mean, I would like to quote Churchill's quote.
Yeah.
He said, "Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have ever been tried."
Right.
That's thought-provoking.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
Democracy is the worst form of government, except for all the others that have been tried.
Yeah.
And again, our leaders, our dictators, if you just look around today, what's going on?
Yeah.
We talk about chair, and they don't want to get off.
Yeah.
Another quote is that they're riding a lion. They can't get off. They're scared to get off. They'll get eaten.
Yeah.
So they might as well stay on the lion. That's another form of thing. So it's my philosophy is that we must talk about, don't segregate, don't cause apartheid. Okay.
Yeah. Because we know how that ended as well. So through history,
we are creating apartheid.
Yeah.
We are a global village. We are in a Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Okay. One sun, one moon,
Yeah.
one sky, one sea. We have to start thinking as a global world, one unity.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. Yeah.
Well, I mean, before the show, we were discussing, obviously, you said as well that you kept your Indian passport and that you've still got it today. So, why do you, talking about that, how you were saying that, we are all part of one globalized community in that sense. Why do you think it's important then to hold on to your Indian passport in that sense?
Well, that goes back, that's interesting, because as you know, as a doctor, I'm not allowed in my consultation to put my political views, my religious views, otherwise I would get struck off. They would report me to the GMC and I would get struck off. But they do ask me.
Yeah.
Because they come in and ask me, Doctor Sahab, sign kar de, mera passport sign kar de, our document sign kar de.
Yeah.
And then I say to them, look, sorry, you got to be a British citizen. Doctor Sahab, dekho British passport hona hi hai.
Yeah.
I guess, sorry, I haven't got a British passport. And so, why I haven't got a British passport, or why and that goes back to 1969.
Right.
Okay? That was when the Apollo 11, man on the moon, landed, right?
Yeah.
July. And there's some photographs taken not by the 2 chaps walking on the moon. It was by Michael Collins, who's actually in the mothership.
Yeah.
He took some photographs of the Earth. And that photograph is, all you see is a beautiful, round, blue and white Earth.
Yeah.
You can't see any country on there. So I said, why I want to change my nationality?
Right.
But the other point is, that's the reason I would change my Indian passport tomorrow if I have a universal passport that I can travel to any country, anywhere in the world. Because nationalities are man-made.
Yeah, exactly.
They're not real.
Yeah.
Before 1947, we were British subjects.
Yeah.
Okay? One of the other reasons, because reason you asked me, I failed my Kachi. They call reception class. The reason why I failed my Kachi, because I never went there that often. I used to run to the coup, with Babbe. I like to listen to their stories. My Babbe has been to Panama in 1920s.
Right.
Argentina 1931. Fought in the Second World War in Leningrad.
Oh,
okay?
Right. Yeah.
I used to go and listen to their stories. Right? And they used to, my cousins, they used to measure as well, against the But I'm just saying to you that,
it's about keeping that PR alive, that kind of concept of...
It's about, we took his Babban Ghadar Party movement in 1913. First mutiny, 1857. Now, why did that? So it took us 100 years, nearly 90 years, to get our Indian passport.
Yeah.
So, soon as we come here, rip the passport, get a British passport. I'm just trying to explain, you know.
Yeah, no, I understand your point.
So, independently. Sheath Pak Singh, at the age of 23, right?
Yeah.
Wrote some beautiful articles while he was in jail.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay? You must read them.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
And then, as soon as we get the passport, you know,
It's
British.
gone. Yeah.
Right? You tell me.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very interesting point of view because I
Another concept.
Yeah, it's definitely a good concept. Yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to like Indian nationality and things like that, I mean, it really depends on also your own experiences when you've gone there as well. I think because you know, the experiences that some people have had going to India, the kind of way that they've lived there, the kind of treatment that they've had has changed over time. But I don't think it's a reflection on the Constitution. It's more of a reflection on the people.
You don't know the Constitution. You don't read the Constitution. But nobody reads the Constitution. Nobody knows what the Constitution is, isn't it?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So that's my point. You need that Constitution. Okay, I was lucky enough in 2009 to meet Secretary General Ban Ki-moon at Birmingham University.
Oh, okay.
He gave me a lecture.
Yeah.
Because Birmingham University does a lot of global research
Yeah.
there, you know, equality and so on.
Yeah.
I got a chance to meet him. I got, listen, don't you think you should, a lot of people don't understand. We talk about UN, but the UN is a lame duck.
Yeah.
Do you know why? Because the Constitution is a peacekeeping Constitution. They can't go in and stop a war situation.
Yeah.
They can't go in Syria.
Yeah, exactly.
They can't go to Myanmar or Burma because you have to pass a resolution.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? That resolution, you get 500 members are China, Russia, France, Britain, US. So there's 193 countries in the UN.
Yeah.
And if 192 says, let's go into Syria, stop it. 11 साल हो गए Syria लड़ाई हुई, right?
Yeah.
कितने मारे होते, right?
Exactly.
होना country. Only one of those 5 members veto कर जाते नहीं.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And I said, look, that is terrible, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
You've had 150 war and you've only been in 3. So why don't you adopt अपने 6वें पातशाह concept लेंदे मीरी पीरी.
Yeah.
The two-sword concept.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what the UN needs to adopt. And they will have to adopt it.
Yeah.
I can promise you that. They will have to change that. They have to do that.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I was always, you know, saying that as well, that in that kind of concept, in that kind of ideology, you can't expect, you know, justice to ever occur if you can't be bothered to take a step. If you're only going to think about the one concept of, you know, just staying quiet and kind of just letting things happen, you can't always get to that point where then you allow justice to happen. Because, I mean, you know, reading, for example, Bhai Kartar Singh Saraba's book, you know, his books,
he was a young boy, in California.
And his books state as well that, you know, Shanti doesn't come out of, you know, peace talks. It doesn't come out through that kind of concept. It comes through a jung, it comes through a battle, and that's the only way you can ensure that peace comes forward. So I think it is definitely a very, very interesting concept. So coming back to obviously the book, what is really the philosophy that you want to push forward as like a final message? What is the aim of the book? That
we're all one human race. There's no different races.
Yeah.
I'm going to be 70 next year, so my days are numbered, right? I want the young generation, I want parents and grandparents to teach their kids to become thinkers, inquisitive, ask questions, and become part of nature.
Right.
Able to travel anywhere, not only on Earth, but the universe. Because we are, I'm telling your kids, they will have opportunity to go to Mars soon in the next 5 to 10 years. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's a cosmic, universal idea.
Yeah.
And time is running out because the environment is changing. Okay? and they need to be part of nature. We are living, like I said, in one boat. If one of the cabin is burning in the boat, it will affect all of us. We will sink.
Yeah.
We have to bring the concept of the pyramids. In the Bible, it says, easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man enter the kingdom. What the concept is, apna bhi ohi concept hai, Sikhism.
Yeah.
Okay? Is that we want to look at the people at the bottom. We want to turn the pyramid upside down.
Upside down, yeah.
Okay? That's where the miri piri comes in.
Yeah.
Okay? You try to you try to have a discussion with them. And if that doesn't work, you have to protect the people in need, less fortunate, who are against tyranny.
Yeah.
And that's the global. You just have to look what's happening today in 50, 30 countries.
Yeah,
Okay.
Exactly.
Think global.
Yeah.
Think cosmic. That's my message. All right? I have no issue with anybody, your beliefs, your faiths, your opinions. That is, you are entitled to whatever you want to believe in. I have no issue with that. Okay?
Yeah.
But the facts belong to every person on the earth. And they change.
Yeah.
And we change with them. Like the coronavirus and the virus. They change. They mutate.
Yeah.
But we're going back. Go forward.
Yeah. Always.
Amen.
Dr. Sab, thank you very much for joining us on Akaal channel. Just as a final thing as well, please let everyone know where they can pick up your book from as well.
Yes, they can on FaceTime, book here.
Yeah.
They can print for you. They can ring you up as well and contact me. And if I would like to say, if anybody wants more clarification on my opinion, this is my thoughts, my experience of the last 50 years. They can contact me and I will clarify more.
Yeah.
And if I've offended anybody, that's not my intention. My intention was just put the facts across, and that's my. And again, thank you very much.
Yeah. So, Tanwad to all the viewers that are watching. Thank you, Dr. Sab, for coming onto Akaal channel. So it's definitely a very, very interesting concept that Dr. Sab was talking about, this idea that you have human software that hasn't changed at all since all this time, but our software seems to keep changing. How can we move forward? How can we make that golden place once again? How can we make globalization such a concept where everyone is feeling okay, no one really gets hurt, that kind of concept of the Khalsa Raj that we used to talk about back in Sikh history. So again, Tanwad to all the Sangat, Tanwad to Dr. Sab who joined us for the show. Akhir de vich fateh di sanj paiye ji, milde thonu agre program de vich. Waheguru ji ka Khalsa, Waheguru ji ki fateh.